Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Jenny. I'm from JennyCarddesigns. Thanks so much for joining me today. My YouTube channel contains content that is intended to share paper crafting tutorials and inspiration with all of you. I hope that you enjoy. In today's video, I've got a fun project to share with you using my brand new template book called A Book About Boxes and Bags. I'm also going to be using my trusty Chop It Up book as well to guide me through cutting up some tags, and then I'm going to use my new book to help me create a beautiful little box to coordinate with my tags. If you're new to my channel, you'll find these books linked in the description box down below. I have the physical copy as well as digital downloads available for purchase on my website, and you can check those out at jennycards.ca. Okay, let's move on. I've decided to create some tags that are 3 by 5 inches, and in my book about boxes and bags, there's a coordinating template for 3 by 5 inch tags. So I'm just going to open up my books to the templates that I need, and I'm going to set them off to the side. I've got this beautiful pack of paper, of course, as usual. You know me and my 12 by 12 paper pads. It's a thing. Okay, so I'm going to flip through this book, and I've got tons of patterns that I can't decide on. So I went through it like 3 times, and then I decided, okay, let's go ahead with this cute little floral, and I'm going to make my tags out of this floral pattern. So I'm going to open up my trimmer, and I'm going to take a look at my Chop It Up book, and it's going to guide me through cutting up these tags. I'm going to pop this piece of cardstock into my trimmer, and I'm going to follow along the instructions in my guide here, and it tells me to make my first cut at 10 inches. So we're going to cut this piece down to 12 inches by 10 inches. And then we're going to cut it one more time across the 10-inch side. We're just going to shift it down, and then we're going to cut to 5 inches. So this is going to give us 2 pieces that measure 12 by 5. And then I'll take those 2 pieces and stack them on top of each other. I'm going to cut across the 12-inch side, and I'm going to make my cuts at 3-inch increments. So I'm going to cut at 9, 6, and 3. This is going to give us 8 tags that measure 3 by 5. The little scrap that we cut off, you can set that aside. You can make smaller tags as shown in the Chop It Up guide, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to leave that scrap for another project for another day. I just want 8 tags for this project. So the last thing to do here is trim off the corners to turn these into tags, and then we're done with the Chop It Up book. So I'm going to stack all of these little tags up together, and I'm going to line them up and grab a hole punch and punch a hole through the top. Now these aren't going to be perfect. You know, it's never going to be 100% exact. They're not machine cut, they're hand cut. So if they don't line up, it's not a big deal. I'm going to take 2 of these tags, and I'm going to stack them on top of each other. I'll grab my scissors, and I'm going to cut off one of those corners. And then I'll take one piece, flip it on top. It'll create a guide where we can follow along to cut off and create perfectly even and symmetrical tags. So this is a fun little trick that I use every time that I make my tags. So I'll just use these tags now as a guide and cut the corners off of all of them, and now I have a beautiful set of tags ready to do whatever. I don't know. Make them fancy and do some stuff. Okay? So let's set those aside, and let's go ahead and make a box to fit these into. Okay, so I'm going to grab my book about boxes and bags template. This is the tag box for 3 by 5 inch tags. So I'm going to flip back through this pattern paper again, and I cut this out because I was flipping through this thing for like 10 minutes because I wanted to use them all. And then I decided, let's just go ahead with the floral pattern that's similar to the tags, and it's just a larger version, kind of. It's got the same floral elements, but just bigger. So I thought that would be nice for the top of the box. And then I decided to make the bottom of my box out of white cardstock. I don't know, I just thought that would look nice. I thought if I did too much floral, then my tags would get lost on the inside of that box. So the white allows, you know, for those colors to pop. So I've grabbed a heavy base weight piece of cardstock here. This measures 8.5 by 11. I'm going to put it in my trimmer, and across the 11-inch side, I'm going to cut this down to 5.25 inches. And then I'll take that piece and rotate it and cut it down to 7.25 inches. I'm going to grab my scoreboard. I'm going to put this piece into my scoreboard and I'm going to score at 1 inch on all 4 sides. So just score 1 inch, rotate, score 1 inch, rotate, and so on until all 4 sides have a 1 inch score on them. So next we're going to cut a few little slits into the sides of this box. This is going to enable the little tiny corners to tuck under to create an actual lid. So I'm going to get nice and close here to show you exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut out a little wedge and I'm going to do that to all 4 sides. Just cutting out these little tiny slivers just so everything will fold together nicely. Then I'm going to grab my bone folder and crease all of my folds and apply some adhesive to those little tiny tabs. And then I'm going to take those tabs and tuck them under and create little 90 degree angles and make sure everything is nice and straight and press that adhesive in. And then here we go. We've got a cute little box and our tags fit in here perfectly. And I used 120-pound cardstock for this so that it would hold up nicely and not be too flimsy. All right, now let's work on the lid. I'm going to go back to my template book and it tells me that for the top of my box, I need a piece that measures 5 1/4 by 7 3/8. So I've gone ahead and cut this down, and you can use the scraps for cards or whatever, but I just grabbed one piece out of the 12 by 12 paper, just enough for my lid. And I'm going to pop that in my scoreboard and score the exact same way, 1 inch on all 4 sides. And because this is a white core cardstock, I like to score on both sides when it comes to pattern papers. I just find it helps fold together nicely and avoid any cracking. And now let's get in nice and close and we're going to make the same cuts that we did on the bottom. I'm just cutting a little tiny wedge out here and then off to the side, a little sliver there as well, just so that everything can tuck together nicely. And now I'll crease all of my folds and apply my adhesive, and this comes together the exact same way as the bottom. The only difference is the 5/8 of an inch on the 7-inch side. Other than that, everything about it is the same. And then I'll just fold up those little tabs, adhere everything together, and then we have a perfectly coordinating lid for our box, and it fits nice and snug. Isn't this just the cutest little thing ever? And I like the choice with that white cardstock on the inside. I think that was the right color choice for this little project. Okay, so I'm going to pull in my drawer of bits and pieces. If you're a crafter or a stamper, mixed media, whatever, you have a drawer of projects that you've worked on and don't know what to do with. I'm sure this is something that all of us have. And whenever I need an idea or some inspiration, I go digging through this little drawer and I find all kinds of stuff. And for this particular project, I found these really cute little florals with a nice turquoise color that matched my project perfectly. And then I also found these lavender sprigs that I stamped in a rainbow of colors. So I thought that would be nice too, and some coordinating leaves. I'll leave in the description box down below the stamp sets that these came from. And believe it or not, that turquoise flower is actually a jennycarddesigns poinsettia Christmas stamp. And I thought, this looks really pretty and I could use it for something other than a Christmas project. And so here we are, almost spring, creating beautiful little tags that look very springy with a poinsettia stamp. So I've gone ahead and I've used some foam squares and popped up those florals and just kind of arranged things around using up all these little bits and pieces. And I did the same with the little lavender sprigs and glued down the stem and popped up the lavender pieces. And I thought they were pretty. I like the way that these turned out. And then I grabbed some jennycarddesigns sentiments. This came in a card kit that I picked up from jennycarddesigns. I think it was from last month, the Valentine's Day kit, I believe. Anyways, they have really nice little sentiment strips inside of them. Love you so much, so very grateful, and just tons of cute little things. And I thought these would be perfect and really pop right off of the front of my little tag. So I just grabbed my trimmer and I trimmed out little sentiment strips, trying to get them as straight as possible. I mean, they're not perfect. If you want a little bit more perfection, you could use dies here, but I just don't have the time or the energy to do all that cutting. So I'll just use my trimmer. I think that's a lot easier. So I've got all these strips all cut out and glued those down, and I'm just going to pop them around the tags, make them all different. They don't have to be the exact same. So I used 2 different sentiments and just mix match them all around. And that's it. Then these are complete, and everything, even with the dimension, 8 of these tags with foam squares and everything fit perfectly inside of my box with a little bit of room too. So the last thing that I wanted to add to this project was some baker's twine. And rather than tying twine to each of the tags, I'll leave that to the recipient to do because I don't like doing it. So I'd rather just, give you the twine and you can do it yourself. So I grabbed 2 circle punches. I grabbed a big one and a small one, and I punched out a circle out of that leftover floral paper. And then I grabbed the little circle punch and punched out the sides so it looks like bites out of an apple or something. So what I do is I just wrap the baker's twine around those little bites out of my apple, and it makes it easier for the recipient to be able to pull out as much twine as they need, attach it to their tag, and away you go. And then it stays nice and neat and tidy, and it's not all messed inside of the box, and it doesn't get tangled. So I think that's kind of cute. So once I'm done here, I'm going to cut a little slit in the top of my little apple and slide my baker's twine in through the top so that you have a starting point and it doesn't let go inside the box. I'll trim off that little bit of excess there, and I'll drop this inside of my little tag box, and the recipient will have baker's twine to attach the tags to whatever gift they decide to give. So everything's together. I created a little belly band out of a scrap of cardstock just to wrap around the box and hold everything together so the lid doesn't fall off. Although it's nice and snug, it's not too tight and it's not too loose. It's just right. Okay, that's it for today's video. Here's a close-up look at our finished tag and box project. I had so much fun creating this, using up extra little things that I had floating around in my stash, and I created a project that I fell in love with. So I hope that you will get some inspiration from today's video, get into your craft room and start chopping up some of your pattern paper. If you enjoyed the content here today, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you're interested in any of the products that I used in today's video, you'll find them linked in the description box down below, along with links to all of my books for my Chop It Up series, my envelope books, and my new template book, a book about boxes and bags. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend it here with me. I appreciate the support as always. Coming up on screen are a couple of videos I think you may enjoy. Have yourself a lovely day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!